Okay, so anytime you make a change to any of this, you need to go ahead and click on Save Configuration, which I'm going to do because I changed it to be an HTML statement. Okay, so let's go ahead and X out of here. So that's your edit invoice defaults. We do have some written training materials to help you with that. Download settings we won't do at the moment, but Aaxsys can download to a CSV file, an XML file, or QuickBooks. So if you're using QuickBooks for your accounting system, Aaxsys can download all of the transactions into an IIF file, which is then uploadable into QuickBooks. If you're using the Aaxsys CRM, here's some contact management settings. The edit address and contact information, this is just your contact information that can be changed. That's your own information. Document list and manage your files are for another video, but essentially Aaxsys you can put in things such as leases, welcome letters, anything like that you're going to send out to your guest. Aaxsys can keep those, and then you can send those out by using templates. So we won't talk about that at the moment. 1099 settings, this is a way you can set up. Aaxsys will figure out all your 1099 information, and this is all the information so that you can transmit them at the end of the year. This one here, miscellaneous options, is one that we're going to take a look at. So mostly when we set you up in Aaxsys, we choose the edit invoice defaults, which as we understand you and your needs, you'll let us know how you invoice your guests, and we set up the invoice defaults. The other thing is miscellaneous options. We're here quite a bit, so I'm going to click on miscellaneous options, and there's all kinds of information here. So for instance, keep holds until the following number of hours are passed, 24. So this is, I had done a previous video on creating a hold in Aaxsys. So this is where you would put how many hours will pass before that hold goes away. So you can put whatever you want here. Your default rent type, is it daily or monthly? Typically weekly is not as often, but either you're going to use a daily rent or a monthly rent. So this will be your default rent, but again, it's very easily to override that when you make the reservation. Notify on reservation. You can put an address here, an email address, or a series of email addresses here if you want that person to be copied whenever a reservation is made in Aaxsys. So a lot of times people will put their accountants here, or supervisors, anybody who needs to be notified whenever a reservation is made. It would go right here. Here is, these are the things that are going to show up in Aaxsys. Typically, these are notifications, so mostly these are the things here that would get notified. I don't usually worry about these other things. This is more advanced functionality as far as your rates and your units. Rate rules is, I'll click on here, but there are no rules here, but you can set up information or HTML that would go out when people book online into your units if you have engaged your online booking engine. Most corporate housing companies don't do that, so that's not used too often. Here is where you would put your last check number. Aaxsys will then count from here. So once you have decided to use the payables in Aaxsys, then you're going to set up your check number here, and then it will automatically create the next check in the sequence. This is setting the printing method for setting up your checks. Most always it's PDF, and then this is where you would set up your spacing on your checks and that sort of thing. Apartment expenses, this is a little more complicated. It's not for this training. Same thing with revenue processing. Most corporate housing companies do not do what we would call revenue processing, so we'll leave that. Vendor tax information. This is pretty much, I don't believe this is changeable, but this is just letting the system know what type of tax ID. Are they an individual, a business, or a corporation? Each one is set up a little bit differently.